So today I'm going to talk about the self pertaining to three different philosophers we learned about this semester: Nikuria, I'm hoping I pronounced that right, Lebra, and J.N. Mahatma. Hoping I pronounced that one right too. All three of these people take a different approach to defining the self, and I relate to some more than I do others, especially Nikuria. Nikuria states that the self has three main sources: nature, ancestors, and culture. I relate a lot to this concept, especially when it comes to nature. For one, I try to preserve nature by taking steps such as recycling, using less plastics, and switching from manufactured chemicals to plant based chemicals. I believe I am extremely dependent on nature. Not only does it define who I am, but it also sustains my lifestyle. Food comes from nature, my cleaning products come from nature, my house is built from materials found in nature. Nature also feeds my soul. When I go outside and breathe in, especially on a cool day, it gives me an emotional reaction. I feel free and as if I am a part of this world and connected to it much more. It gives me a sense of belonging, especially when I'm out canoeing and I see birds and alligators and fish. All the energy from life around me flows through me in brief moments of connectedness. So not only does it sustain my ability to live physically, but it also feeds my soul. Another thing that Nikuria talks about is traits that you inherit from your ancestors. So something I did was try to get in touch with my parents. I wasn't able to find out too much about my ancestral past, but I did. I do have some things that I want to say. So some traits I inherited from my ancestors span from personality traits to physical ones. I see a lot of my parents' personalities come through in me. Like my dad has a little bit of a problem with his temper, which I totally got from him, and also my love for animals. From my mom, I get her drive and her will to keep going and become better. Also, not so great of a trait, but I also inherited her ability to overreact and blow a situation out of proportion. I inherited my grandmother's stubbornness and need to be right. I also inherited my height, a physical trait, from my dad's side of the family. Both of my parents are tall. My mom is 5'8", my dad is 6'1". I am a whole whopping 5'2". On my dad's side of the family, typically the women seem to be short, so I inherited that from them. Finally, Nikuria talks about cultural values. And some of the cultural values which we hold, some of them that I hold are: I'm not really much of a religious person as much as I would say I'm a spiritual person. I was raised Southern Baptist but studied Wiccan when I was younger, and I took a lot more lessons from Wicca than I did Baptist, like my love for Mother Earth and nature. A lot of my cultural values are that of your typical American. I value equality, changes made that bring about progress, value the being unique individual, the importance of family, the need to better oneself through education, and not to forget, I value my time spent on anything. Now moving on to Lebra. Lebra's components that make up the self are presentational and empathetic. So this would be how I show up in the world and how I present myself. I think personally, I present myself as a strong woman with a great deal of stress in her life. I try to present myself as loving and kind. I want to be the person that you meet and be like, wow, she's a really nice person, even when other people aren't showing up as their nicest selves. There's also the inner self located in the heart. This is how we feel inside, which I could write a paper on just how I feel inside. But for the most part, I feel like a successful, overworked student, employee in life, and I definitely show up like that as a person. Then there's the boundless self, located theoretically in the belly. This part is accepting who we are and being aware of it. This, combined with the others, gives us a sense of the entire self. J.N. Mahatma says there are even more components that make up the self. He says there is the body to begin with, which is our physical representation of ourselves. So again, kind of how we show up in public, how we present ourselves, and how we are perceived by other people. There is the subject, which deals with planning and our stream of consciousness, how we perceive things, our imagination and thoughts. This helps form the memories that we have. There is the ego, which involves the habits that you form from the beliefs that you have. So for me, I would say a strong belief is that in education and using it to better yourself, that's a very strong belief that I hold. There is the self, which involves our relationship with people, and finally the person. This is the actual self, who you are, your stream of consciousness, all of these other components, all put into one. So that is my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good day.